Good evening.
How many people we got waiting? How many people are? 6 people waiting for it.
Oh my lord, we've hit the big time. Big time. Big time. 6 people waiting for an Al Red Sox fan chat with friends. Hello, YouTube. We have with us Dawg Sidious, OG, the original Grognard. You know him as Devin. And we have Comics with Bueller. Chris from Strat-O-Matic Delaware is feeling a little under the weather, so get better soon. As we feel a bit lonely without Chris. Maybe, just maybe, he might come around, but he doesn't feel good, seriously. So hopefully he'll feel better. So we'll turn it over to Dawg Sidious. How's everything going? What's coming up on your channel? Then we'll go Devin, and then Comics with Bueller. Again, thank you, everyone joining the panel. And I'd like to say hello to everyone in the chat. JD, idjester, Bubba Husky, Bobby, and Fanomatic. And then once we go through the introductions, I will, friends of the channel thing. So, to you, Dawg.
All right, yeah. Thanks again for having us, Al. I'm Dawg Sidious, folks. You guys probably everybody knows me by now. So
if you don't know Dawg Sidious,
Star Wars entertainment news. I do Final Fantasy 14 live streams as well. So I'm as far as what's coming up on my channel, I do the dog show. I'm going to be doing that once a week now, either on Fridays or Saturdays, depending on how our schedule is running here. So like we're alternating our this crew here, on my channel and Al's. So on the nights that you don't see, there's always going to be one live stream basically on my channel every weekend, and I have some other bonuses coming up. Also, this Tuesday, I will be introducing the Westerosi Ninja for the first time on my channel, the Miltster.
Cool.
We're going to be doing top 5 Sith Lords, so looking forward to that. We've also got another project possibly we might do later in the week as well. So I'm really excited to introduce Milt to the Dawg Sidious channel, and having you guys back next week, Saturday as well. So that being said, again, it's great to be here. Great to be with you guys tonight. I'll turn it over to OG.
OG!
Let's have some fun tonight, folks. So, hey, Bobby. Hey, Bubba. Hey, Fanomatic. JD, Jester. I think I just wanted to say hi to folks real quick. And all right, go ahead, OG.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Devin, the OG, original Grognard. You know me, you love me. My streams and my videos are strategic and tactical war games, mostly board war games, but I've been doing a lot of computer strategy games here lately. I'm currently streaming and going through Operation Sea Lion 1940 from John Tiller Software. It's a hypothetical German invasion of Britain in 1940. I'm on the 4th day, about 40 turns in out of 186. Having a lot of fun with that. Try to get in, I want to do a video a day. Reality doesn't work out that way. Right after that, I also got a miniature system, an air-to-air World War II combat system I'm going to be highlighting and shooting here real soon called Lacquered Coffins. I should have done it months ago because I made the promise to the designer that I would highlight his rule set for him, and I need to get to that. And who knows what else is coming up. I don't like to try to plan too far ahead in advance because I get distracted. Squirrel.
Squirrel!
Squirrel! So, that's what I got going on. Over to Comics with Bueller.
Comics with Bueller, you're up.
Hello, everybody. I'm Bueller from Comics with Bueller. I was kind of a late addition to the show. They didn't know I was going to be able to make it, and I'm glad I am able to make it because I enjoy all these guys on the panel. And I'm excited to see what we're talking about tonight. I don't think I even know what we're talking about tonight, which is
I don't even know what we're talking about tonight.
But I want to show you guys this, and this is such a cool thing. And just in case you guys haven't turned this on, right there, my notification comes up on my phone because Al Red Sox fan is live. So make sure you turn on that notification button so you get this as well like I do. So it's very cool. Thank you, Al Red Sox fan. Now I can just swipe that away, and now it's gone.
You are one of the best. That's why you belong on this panel. Dawg Sidious, Devin, and Comics with Bueller, man. You are. Why you like me, I don't know, but thank you very much, my friend.
Well, go.
Awesome.
And by the way, go. I don't. Did the Ducks win today? I was watching the game and I got sidetracked. Does anyone know if the Ducks won?
You mean college football?
Yeah, college football. So
I'll find out for you.
Dawg Sidious will give us an update.
I just found out about Ohio State. I got so mad at them today, I had to turn it off. So.
Dawg was very angry. Very angry.
It's been a rough week there. You know, Cleveland Indians just getting thumped. And
idjester says, yes, the Ducks won. Thank you.
Okay. Good.
MP Fox in the chat. Okay, let's just go with friends of the channel, and we have lots of them in the chat. Again, and I forgot to put MP Fox on the page, but I'm going to announce it now. MP Fox starting up his streaming with his son, retro baseball, card and dice. And let's just go through great friends of the channel, as always, before we get started. So we have with us Dawg Sidious. Check out that wonderful channel, all things Star Wars and entertainment. The original Grognard OG for military strategy. Comics with Bueller. Self-explanatory. All three wonderful gents. Check them all out and subscribe. Ron Juckett, Retro Sports Network. Fandom D Saint, Things Entertainment. JD, Video Game Play. He's an author. What's Blazing in Sports for your boxing needs. Higher Ground Gaming with Eric, Retro Sports. idjester, Dungeons and Dragon, Retro Sports, all kinds of great things. IDs in the chat. Strat-O-Matic Delaware is feeling a little under the weather, but let's show him some love. If you haven't subscribed to that channel, you must. RNGIDP. That's a tongue twister. Retro Sports. Phil, the Issues Guy. TV and Entertainment. Espo Strat Baseball Network. Tabletop Baseball Plus with the Earls. MosleyBoxing, another great boxing channel. Omen Eno. Video Game Play. EO Sports League with Elon Olaf. Bleacher Bums Gaming with Anthony. Get well soon. He just had a medical procedure yesterday. Jonnie Indie Boots. Game of Thrones, Westworld, MaxKornelius, Retro Sports, Tribes Fan 879, Retro Sports, AU Packmule, just a wonderful, wonderful person. Clinton Parks, who's in the chat, Retro Sports, MrUtahmike starting up a Strat-O-Matic series on his channel. Check him out. Citadel of Trivia, which is on Fridays, and Milt's on there along with Felicia. Dawg Sidious, one of the excellent game players. And then you have Todd from ItinerantHobbyist. We're hoping to get Todd on soon. Military strategy. Chrissy Of Oldstones. Hoping to get her on soon, along with idjester. Wonderful reading voice. She does narrations and readings, like audio book types. I guess that's the way.
She took the trivia crown last night, too. She is
excellent. Night. Good win for Chrissy. Thank you, Dawg Sidious. John St. Baptiste, wonderful music channel. You have to check it out. I don't do it justice. Oh my God, APBAreplay. I speak it English, Al. APBAreplay, that's a blog site. That's also his Twitter handle. That's Retro Sports. Lady Wolverton's Den for Game of Thrones. As I stated, Comics with Bueller. We love Comics with Bueller. If you don't love Comics with Bueller or Dogs or the original OG, I hate to tell you this, I have ways of finding out your address. That's all I'm saying. You got to love all these gents, along with Strat-O-Matic Delaware and the people, the friends of the channel who I've just mentioned. Johnny the Crazy, awesome channel. LMR, she's in the chat. It's Living My Rhapsody. And the Westerosi Ninja, that's Milt. He'll be on with Dawg Sidious. When's that coming up, Dawg? Next week?
We're going to do that Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it'll be 8 p.m. Milt's time there, like in Texas, and so Central Time. So definitely looking for. I'll have that set up probably tomorrow. So
beautiful, beautiful. And then Fanomatic, check him out. He's going to be starting up his streaming. So all right, that's all done with. Everyone's always glad when that's done with, as everyone's like, "Shut the hell up, Al." Well, you know what? It's my channel. You shut the hell up. I'm just kidding. Thank you for being here. All right, so I'm going to throw this to OG. OG wants to talk a little Doctor Who off the bat. I remember Doctor Who from PBS, so I'm not, but we're going to let OG take over the control. He's at the helm. OG was in the Navy. He can drive this ship. Do we say drive? Is that the right terminology?
Yeah, close enough.
All right. OG, it's yours.
We got a big steering wheel. Well, the first ship I was on had a big steering wheel.
A head full.
A head full. Dawg Sidious also, both Navy veterans. I'm surrounded by good people. Why they like me, I don't know. I like them, though. All right. It's all you, my friend.
All right. So I was just throwing out some ideas. One thing, we talk a lot of science fiction. We talk a lot of fantasy here, along with sports and everything else. But we haven't really talked about Doctor Who yet. And I kind of always have been a fan of Doctor Who. I mean, I go back to the 80s. My first Doctor was the Fifth Doctor. And for those of you who may not specifically know which Doctor is which, he's the one that was in all white, had the white hat, kind of younger, wore the celery staple to his jacket, and carried around a croquet ball. That was my first Doctor. Kind of slipped off the radar after that because, it was mainly a British show, and, being a teenager in America, didn't get a lot of Doctor Who here in the States. And when they did the reset and the reboot several years ago, well, not several years ago, a few years ago, bringing the Ninth Doctor in, it's been a thoroughly enjoyable series to me, except for maybe the last season or two and where it's going. But anyways, we won't get into that. And I just wanted to throw it out there. What's everybody's favorite Doctor? What's everybody's favorite companion? And I was hoping more of the panel would be into it, but it appears I'm the only Doctor Who geek on the panel. So we're just going to open this up to audience participation, find out, and I'm going to save who my favorite Doctor is and my favorite companion until after, because as Comics with Bueller was mentioning earlier, I don't tend to go with the popular opinions on everything. So I don't want to lose subscribers yet. So I do my favorite Doctor and companion at the end.
So I'm sorry. The only Doctor Who I kind of know is the one that was on PBS for a little, and I was like, as a kid, I was like, wow, this guy gives me a headache. So but it's a big thing, Doctor Who. Again, that's time travel, correct? I mean, I've watched some of it. So he goes back in time. Again, for people who don't know about Doctor Who, I'm going to throw out stupid questions from Al to Devin. This is what we're going to call this: stupid questions from Al to Devin about Doctor Who. So he does time travel to go back and help people, right? He
goes back in time. He goes forward in time. He comes from a race from the planet of Gallifrey. They call themselves the Time Lords, and they are the first intelligent civilization that rose. From the dawn of time, the Gallifreyans were the first intelligent species that rose, and have always been. They consider themselves the smartest, and they were the first to master time travel, and thus calling themselves the Time Lords. Now you have two different types of Time Lords. You have Time Lords as the people, and then you have the Time Lords that are the ruling nobility of Gallifrey, which Doctor Who is one of the ruling.
So he's royalty.
He is, but he hates it. He does not like it, and doesn't like a lot of what the other Time Lords do. And basically, the thing that started him on his journey was that he just got tired of being a Time Lord and decided, screw it, I'm going to steal a TARDIS and go and explore the galaxy. And he was physically 90 years old when he first stole the TARDIS in the very first episode, way back in the 1950s. He was 90 years old, and the latest incarnation is over 2,000 years old. So through the 20 some odd seasons over 50 years, they have aged him progressively over time. But yeah.
Let me just go to the chat for a quick second, Devin, because people are telling about their favorite Doctor Who. idjester says, my favorite Doctor Who was the one in the plain coat. Living My Raps, he said, I fell in love with number 11, but I adore them all. Moni G, the girl with the red hair, that Doctor. So there's a few Doctor Who fans in here.
I kind of figured there was. I knew I couldn't be the only one. So
is it kind of like Quantum Leap in a way?
Not really. He has an actual time machine. That's actually a living organism. The Time Lords grow their TARDISes. They don't build them. They actually grow the TARDISes. And TARDIS stands for Time and Relative Dimension in Space, which is kind of odd because it's supposedly coming from Gallifreyan, yet somehow it translates into English just fine. But, and that's been mentioned a few times. A couple of companions have said, well, it doesn't make any sense of that. It makes perfect sense in both Gallifrey and English. So they build these time machines, and the TARDISes all exist simultaneously at every point in the universe throughout eternity, and have the ability to travel to any point in any time, anywhere. Pretty powerful stuff. And so basically, the Doctor just stole a TARDIS one day, and he said, I want to see the galaxy, and has ended up helping people from day one. Now, granted, some could say that he has also killed more than he's helped, but
hey, sometimes happens.
Yeah.
That, you know, that's Clinton Park says it's Time Machine meets Game of Thrones meets Logan's Run. Now let me ask Comics with Bueller really quick. Are there, again, stupid questions from Al? Are there? There probably is. I think I have seen them. Doctor Who comics, and do you have any? And are they popular? So I'm throwing that out.
There are Doctor Who comics. There's actually a Doctor Who comic that's regularly published every month right now. I believe maybe Dynamite Comics puts it out. I might be wrong on that. It's not. I don't have any. I don't have any Doctor Who comics. I'm not. I've never watched Doctor Who, and you know, I know about it obviously. But my favorite doctors are, of course, people like, you know, Doctor Strange.
Yep.
You know, there's a doctor. Or here's another doctor.
Oh, Dr.
Doom. Dr. Doom. There we go. I like Dr. Detroit. That was one of my favorite doctors.
That was Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
Was that the movie though? Was that the name of the movie? That was funny. That was oh my God, that's a long time ago. Who would win between Dr. Detroit and Doctor Who?
Doctor Who would win. But and then another one is Dr. Richard Kimball, the fugitive himself.
That's right.
Another one of my favorite doctors. But I wanted to ask, and you, Devin, you might know this because, like I said, I'm not familiar with Doctor Who, but you have your favorite. But what is, like, hands down the most commonly favorite Doctor Who there's been?
That's a great question, because that way we can tell how off Devin is with his favorite.
if we're talking the most modern incarnation from 9 forward, 11's probably the most popular. But I don't like 11. If we're talking the entire series, it would either be 4 or 6. 4 probably more than any. 4 is probably the most popular Doctor. But
so
how many are there?
There's a lot, it seems, because I'm just reading the chat. MP Fox says that was Tom Baker ID, my all-time favorite. 4. I think ID that's number 4. So we're learning something tonight.
Yep, Tom Baker was number 4, and he actually made a reappearance in one of the movies that they did a couple years back that had 11, 10, 11. 8.5, although he's a doctor, he's not a doctor. That's a whole other story. And 4 was in it as well. But okay, how many doctors have there been? Officially, they are numbered up to 13. The new female doctor that just showed up is Doctor number 13. However, there's been 14 doctors. I call him 8.5, the War Doctor. He was only around for a couple episodes. They allude to him a lot.
So what happened? What happened to the guy who was only around for a couple episodes?
Well, okay. Between Doctors 8 and 9, and you got to understand what happened. In the early 1990s, they tried to do a Doctor Who movie. And that was the 8th Doctor. The movie bombed horribly, and they just decided to stop the television show completely.
Which was the worst movie, Devin? That one or the remake of Ghostbusters?
Remake of Ghostbusters, hands down.
Okay.
I kind of like the Doctor Who movie, but it just did not do well. It had some poor writing into it and kind of broke a few of the lore bits. And I always felt bad for the actor who played 8 because all he ever did was the movie. I mean, that was all he ever showed. He eventually, years later, would do like a 20-minute episode where he came back as 8. But between what happened timeline-wise between 8 and 9 is the Great Time War erupted between the Daleks and the Time Lords. And eventually, you find out that the Doctor burned his home planet. It was the only way to stop the war. I mean, he had been fighting the war for... Yeah,
wait a second. Wait. We can't just yada yada this thing. Okay. So Bueller and I and Dawg Sidious, we're not big Doctor Who fans. We can honestly say between us, we've probably seen 4 episodes.
I've just never seen it. I've never.
Exactly. So let's just go back. Let's think this out here. So which Doctor? Well, who's the last Doctor you talked about? Just bear with me.
Okay, so 8 was the one that was in the movie, and between 8 and 9. The Doctor was involved in helping fight the Time War between the Daleks and the Time Lords. Now
Okay.
the Daleks are the ones that are in those big suits. Exterminate. Everybody knows who the Daleks are. They are complete.
Who burnt the planet?
It was technically 8.5.
8.5. Now,
Yeah.
8.5, is he supposed to be a good guy? Not that I'm just curious.
Yes, 8.5 is known as the War Doctor, and
Okay. Let's just ask now, Devin, you have your opinion. That's good. So now, let's just ask. Let's go to our panel. Dawg Sidious and Bueller. So 8.5 blows up his home planet. Is that right, Devin?
Yes, but can I finish why he did it?
No.
No. We got to answer without knowing. Then you can finish.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to Dawg Sidious. Now, Dawg, you live on this planet. And it's 8.5. Watch out. Bail out, everybody. It's 8.5. He's going to blow us all up. Anyway, Dawg, you live on this home planet, right? Things are going pretty good. You know, there's a little, stuff going on, but you're happy with it. And this 8.5 comes about and says, "Yeah, I'm torching it." What are your thoughts about that?
I'm give him rabies immediately. As soon as I get a chance. So,
I agree with you.
I'm gonna play right into that hiney.
Yeah. So that's a vote against 8.5-1. Okay, not yet, Devin. Not yet. You can. Okay, now we're gonna go to Bueller, and I think he's on the phone with 8.5, negotiating right now as we speak. So he's busy for a moment, so
I'm listening.
Oh, you're good? Okay. Yep. So again, the gist of it, Bueller, is 8.5 seems to have a bit of a control issue. You don't get along with him. He might light you on fire. That's the way I'm interpreting. So Dawg is that's one vote against 8.5. And what are your feelings about someone? Again, things are going good. You're collecting comics on the planet. It's not so bad. And this guy shows up and you guys are all nuts. And you know what? You don't like me, and I'm burning you.
Yeah.
That's the gist of it.
So he's got a little bit of a Thanos thing going on there. He just wants to wipe out the planet and stuff like that. So I would have to say no on this one. I would pass on this Doctor Who.
That's two. See, we're learning. Now, I have to say, Devin, is this your favorite Doctor Who?
He's one of my favorite Doctors.
I kind of knew that. Now, we love you, Devin. Okay. Watch Devin's friends when he brings them over for dinner. Let's write that note down. Watch them. Okay, we got that. So I'm going to have to vote thumbs down with the rest of the crew. Now, convince us why it was good that he torched his home planet.
The Time Lords were losing the war against the Daleks. The Dalek fleet had pushed the Time Lords back to Gallifrey, their home planet, and was in the process of destroying it. They had managed to breach the sky trenches, which was what the Gallifreyan planetary defense was, and there were 1 million Dalek ships in orbit, and they were just razing the planet to the ground. The only way the Doctor could end the Time War, because they're time travelers, and he would explain this, is that if something would go bad, one side would send somebody back to change it, and the other side would send somebody back to change the change, and just these massive weapons of destruction were being created. And the Doctor tries to be helpful. He doesn't like death and destruction. He does his best.
Okay, let's stop at that point. Now, Bueller, the Doctor doesn't like death and destruction. Did I hear that correctly, Devin?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now,
is this an episode of The Walking Dead or something like that?
Bueller, if you burn a whole planet, I'm thinking there's some casualties involved in there, correct?
There's definitely going to be some. Yeah, have you seen Mad Max?
Yes.
Because this kind of sounds like a Mad Max type thing. The recent Mad Max movie that came out, and
which was good. I like that. Some people.
Yeah, they said that man burned the planet type thing. So apparently, Doctor Who did it first.
Maybe that's where you got. Okay. All right. So I think that's another check. No. Okay. All right. Back to Devin trying to explain why 8.5 is a pretty decent guy.
Okay.
The Jared Leto Joker fan, by the way. This is who we're hearing from. So
Do have to give that caveat, yes. But so Gallifrey was going to die anyways, and the Doctor had a weapon called the Moment, and you don't actually find this out for several seasons after you find out that he destroyed Gallifrey. But it was the only way to end the Time War was he had to wipe out the Time Lords and the Daleks completely, both simultaneously at the same time, because if any were alive, they would just go back, change time, everything else. And you have to remember, I know you're getting antsy, Al. This war was devastating galaxies. I mean, untold billions were dying in this war. And you got to understand the Daleks. The Daleks hate everybody. If you're not a Dalek, you're going to be exterminated. So it was a very nasty war. And the only way to end the war was he activated this massive weapon that burned Gallifrey, destroyed the Dalek fleet, over 1 million ships in orbit, and just totally ended the war. Okay,
yes, because he killed both sides.
Well, yes. In a war of that scale, where even just one survivor can go back and change everything.
That sounds like Skynet control.
Continue. Yeah. So wait. So he pulled like a Cersei Lannister. He just got them all in one spot and went, well, goodbye.
Gallifrey was going to lose anyway. I mean, no matter what he did, Gallifrey was done.
So I just want to touch on a point where you say he didn't tell anyone for a couple of years. So like when people are saying, "Hey, 8.5, let's go back to let's go to Gallifrey and chill out," he's like, "No, yeah, let's go to your house." Is that how that works?
No, that actually was the plot point for 9 and 10. A lot of times, a lot of his companions had asked about his people, and he's like, "I'm the last of my kind. I am the last Time Lord. My planet is gone." And when it revealed that I was the one that did it, it was character development.
Actually, to be sort of serious for a point, I understand what you're getting at, where both sides are just devastating the galaxy as a whole, but it's just kind of funny. So, like, everyone's sitting there in the board meeting going, okay, we're taking our notes, and it's like, okay, we're going to kill everyone. What?
Well, it gets better.
Oh, it gets better. I like this. It gets
better because the 11th Doctor, and because this is time travel, there was a special episode that I know. There's a special episode.
Yeah, I could not follow along with the show.
Oh, it is insane. It is insane. You have to be a fan.
I need graph paper.
Oh, that won't even help. But they brought 10, 11, 8.5 back, and basically 10 and 11 convinced 8.5 not to destroy Gallifrey, because I've seen it burn before, and I don't want to see it again. And you see the dichotomy between the three Doctors, and the 500 years difference in age between the three of them. And they come up with an idea that instead of burning Gallifrey, they'll lock it in stasis. And so they
like the boy in the bubble?
Yes. And it'll be trapped in time. And the War Council was initially against this, like, we will be trapped in time. There will be no hope. It's a lot better than what your other option is. So they locked Gallifrey in stasis, but since all the Doctors were out of sync in time, they didn't realize that they actually locked Gallifrey in stasis. They did manage to destroy all the Daleks, sorta. The Daleks never die; they always come back one way or another. I'm not even going to get into that. But he eventually found out
like
that Gallifrey
fungus.
Totally.
You don't want that.
Eventually
fungus.
Discovers that Gallifrey wasn't destroyed, and it was locked away in stasis, and it had broken free of the stasis. And then he's in 12. The 12th Doctor went back to Gallifrey.
So my question, Devin, did he go back in time to undo what he did?
Because he didn't undo what he did. He just changed what he did.
But so he basically said, geez, I want a mulligan on killing a gazillion people. I can't sleep at night. 100,000 I can live with, but a gazillion. So he went back and he had a mulligan. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, he had a mulligan, and it was a big character development, and it was a very shocking thing when they brought the Time Lords back, and he actually went back and banished the old president, and he became a new president, or he would have decided to leave it. He's actually been elected president twice. I think five was elected president to the council, and he said, "No, I'm out of here." So.
Let me read something from the chat from Hex Rex. He says, "Yes, but Gallifrey didn't have fart weapons in the early season. It's only after Laura Croft helps Doctor." I think he's trolling us.
I think he's being a little bit funny. Yeah,
that's funny. I almost read it. I don't know about Doctor. Anyway, thank you for joining us. All right.
So I got a question for Devin.
Excellent.
Okay, so Devin, obviously I don't know anything about Doctor Who, and I was curious because there's been so many doctors. Is it a separate person that they're doing? It's not the same.
Good question.
It's not the same person being recast, right? It's actually a whole nother person. Is that correct?
Well, what it is it's the same character, but every time a doctor dies, every time a Time Lord dies, they regenerate into a new personality and regenerate into a new body. So that's how they get away with changing doctors every so often. It's like the first Doctor lasted like 2 seasons, the second Doctor lasted another 2 or 3 seasons or something like that. But it's their Deus Ex that when they get tired of one actor, they can just easily write him out and bring a new actor in by just killing the old doctor off and having him regenerate.
Okay. I get it now. I wasn't really clear on that one, to be honest with you.
That is one of the things that kind of throws people initially. Yeah. So when you say the 5th Doctor, that's his 5th regeneration. The 12th Doctor is 12th regeneration. And like I said, they threw a real monkey wrench into it because Doctor Who from original canon was only supposed to have 12 regenerations. That was it. It was done. He wasn't supposed to have any more. But then they wrote in the War Doctor, which kind of made the 11th Doctor the 12th Doctor, and then the 12th Doctor regenerated into Capaldi, and now Capaldi's regenerated into the female Doctor. So yeah, they break canon. Since it's time travel, they're going to break canon all the time anyway. So, because we can do that, we can go back and change things.
So I don't know if you guys can hear me right now, but my network is kind of jumping in and out. So if I get a little blurry,
can still hear you.
Okay, it kind of popped up on my screen that my network is having problems. So if you lose me, I'll come back in. I just want a fair warning there.
Yeah. So the Doctor Who thing, why?
Or speechless.
Yeah. And it says I'm still trying to figure out. So he really didn't. When he goes back and undoes it, 8.5, right? 8.5. Do all the people come back?
Yes, they are trapped in stasis on the planet. And when the Gallifrey figures out how to break the stasis, then yeah, they're still alive. The entire planet's still there. The population, at least.
So he really didn't kill them all. He kind of like when you play a video game, you kind of like you test stuff out. And you're like, yeah, I'd like to be an a-hole. I'm going to kill all these people, see how the storyline goes. I didn't like it.
Yeah, basically, he hit the reset button when we went back to an earlier save. So
that's pretty cool. Good way of explaining it. Awesome sauce.
Awesome sauce.
So, but anyway, since I said when we got to the end, I would explain my favorite doctors. Of all of them, five was one of my favorite doctors. Probably not the favorite.
They all go by Doctor Who, though, right?
Yeah, that's his name. I mean, supposedly he has an actual real Gallifreyan name, but when you become Time Lord Reality, you assume a new title. And it's a title, but it's also your name. It also goes along with who your personality is. So the Doctor Who, his official name is just the Doctor. But
so they don't do like number 5, like he doesn't have.
No. It's always just the Doctor. He doesn't even refer to himself by numbers. He is just the Doctor. But everybody always asks Doctor Who, and so that's where the Doctor Who came. There have been other Time Lords that have been mentioned by name. The Master, and he and Doctor Who have been at war with each other for years and years and years. And Master regenerated into a female one time, so became Missy, the Mistress. There was
I've seen a movie like that before, but we can't. I highly recommend it, Missy the Mistress. I'm sure if you type it in with a few other choice,
it's is that Missy the Mistress and her 4 lovely friends? Is that the one you're talking about?
Like that,
yes.
That's a good one.
Then there was the Corsair and all the Gallifreyan.
They were Corsair or whatever. Oh, never mind. I digress.
Corsets.
Corsets.
So, yeah, he
He's
does
seen
have
the movie.
2 thumbs up.
He does have a Gallifreyan name, and only one person in existence knows it, his wife, and we're not even going to get into River Song. But yeah, he's the doctor. That's how he introduces himself. I'm the doctor, and everybody goes, Doctor Who?
Hello, Ron Juckett. Sorry, I didn't see you. I had to say hi to Ron.
So, anyways, back to my favorite doctor. So I said 5. I enjoyed the hell out of 9. 9 was only around for 1 season. He was the first Doctor when they did the reboot. I really liked 9. I really liked 10.
Can I ask you a question, Devin?
Sure.
You really like 9. So I know it's running through Bueller's head and Dog's head. What the hell's wrong with 9 then?
Yeah, it's probably something a little wrong with 9 there if you like 9 the best.
No, he usually key
7,
in
8,
on
9.
7, 8, 9, exactly. That's why 6 is afraid of 7 to 7, 8, 9. No, there really wasn't. I don't know. He was around for 1 season. I guess, yeah, a lot of people didn't like him, but whatever. I liked 10. I didn't like 11. 11 was most people liked 11. I didn't like 11. The actor was fine. The actor did a fine job. He was just never the doctor. And people will scream.
Another dumb question from Al about Doctor Who. Do their personalities change?
Yes. Each one has a different. They have the memories of all the previous doctors, but their personalities do change. Now, like 9 tried to be a little bit carefree, but he had just gotten done basically destroying Gallifrey. At least thought he had destroyed Gallifrey.
Right.
So he was a little bit dark and brooding. 10 was pretty cool. 10 was kind of lighthearted and kind of he was a mentor and a teacher to his companion. I can't really describe 11 too well, but yeah, each of them have their different personalities, and a lot of times they don't want to die to regenerate. They know they're going to regenerate, but who they are at that moment.
Oh, so when they die, they come back as a different doctor.
As the next doctor, and they have a different personality, a different actor, and so on and so forth. So, and my companions, and I know most everybody loves Rory and Amy. Everybody loves Amy for some reason. She was the 11's companion for the longest time. Amy and Rory were a married couple that traveled with the doctor. But Rose,
I saw a movie like that too.
But Rose was my favorite companion, and again, I'm probably going to lose viewers over that, but whatever.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. So we talked about Doctor Who. Devin didn't think I was going to do it. We did. We made it fun. It was very good, Devin. It was very good. I enjoyed it. That was awesome. That's interesting that when they come back, they have the memories, but they're in a different, a different person. So that's kind of cool. I'll have to check a little bit of that out. I like Sherlock. Have you guys ever watched Sherlock? The guy who played Bueller will know Doctor Strange. I think he played Doctor Strange in the Marvel. Is it Marvel?
Yep.
I like the Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
Cumberbund.
Cumberbutt.
Benjamin Cumberbund or something like that. Yeah. Cumberbatch.
I do like Sherlock. But before we go to anything else, I want to go to Bueller. Bueller did a little bit of sorry. Are you all set, Devin?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, sorry. So you want to go? So 8.5. Before we end it, 8.5 really didn't blow up everything.
No.
Well, rats, we put all these check marks against him.
I told you to let me finish the story on it because I
just executed him, and now the evidence came in that maybe I shouldn't have. So, great job, Devin. Comics with Bueller. So you did a little comic book shopping today. What treasures did you find? I know you're probably gonna do a video on it, but just give us a sneak peek.
Oh, sure. No,
if you don't mind.
Yeah, I want to show this one, actually. It's kind of cool. So today it's called Walking Dead Day. I don't know if you guys are aware of that.
Walking Dead.
But today is the 15th anniversary of when the Walking Dead #1 issue came out. And one of the things they're doing for it, they put out a reprint of the #1 issue.
That's the original. That's the original cover, I think.
It's close to it. They took some liberties on it a little bit, and something that's really cool about it is, so for comic shops that ordered a certain amount, they got their logo imprinted on the book itself, like in the mirror.
That's pretty cool.
Because in this book, he's standing in front of a comic book shop, and that wasn't what it was in the original.
No, it wasn't. I see that, yeah.
But so my local shop, the Comics Adventure, where I get all my books, they decided to buy enough copies to qualify for it, and they had to pay a little extra, I believe. But I picked that up today, and it's got their logo.
Really cool.
And they got a great logo.
Yeah, that is. So this is a local comic book shop in your area?
Yes, it's a local one. It's in Gladstone, and you can kind of see their logo on the back of the book as well. It's very cool. But they had to order 500 copies of this book in order.
I bet you they'll sell them all, though.
They will. I think.
Walking Dead,
from what I know, I think they're selling it for cover price at $2.99. But I know a lot of people will be like, they'll be trying to get some of the variants, because a lot of comic shops are doing this right now. They have their logo on it, and there's a lot of people from out of state that are probably going to be reaching out to him and saying, "Hey, can you send me one? Can you send me one?" He's told me.
Can I answer your question? Because you know about, I like watching your videos when you say this is a good buy, that's not a good, Yep. Do you think by them putting their logo on it, does that make it possibly more valuable? Again, it's what someone will pay for it, obviously. Yeah. But just, do you think it's something like that? Would it be more valuable, or do you think you want to stay away with something like that? Or I'm just curious, because it will be an original at some point.
Well, I can tell you this. I mean, there's only 500 of these ones like this made.
So that's already a good thing, right?
Yeah. The value to it, really, I don't think it'll ever, like, here's the thing. People aren't going to know what it is. They're going to be like, oh, it's Comics Adventure. It's not something that everyone across the states or the world is going to know.
Right.
Hey, there's a variant of Comics Adventure. The value is the comic shop, because that's their logo.
That is cool.
That's advertising that they'll have in the people who bought it in their collection the whole time. So that's where the real value is. But as far as
I just think that's really cool. That's kind of a neat little that the creators of The Walking Dead would actually offer that. I mean, 500 comics for a good sized a comic book store, that doesn't seem like a lot to me.
Yeah.
Maybe it is. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like a lot to me for The Walking Dead, because I think that'll sell quick. Just because it's
for this LCS, for them, that's a lot. That's a lot of books
for this. Okay.
They're not a very big store. It's most comic shops are, they're independently owned. They're small businesses type thing. I don't know if there's any type of real chains that are out there that are, the whole United States or something like that. Some comic shops will have multiple shops in the same state, but as far as national, they don't have it. So, I think it's pretty cool, but he sold out a little bit. But one thing about Image, they offer a pretty sizable discount to retailers. So more so than what Marvel and DC offer. So he's not shelling out a ton of money to get 500 copies of this book. So that's really good.
That's really cool. Did you find any beside that? And that's really cool. Did you find any, I like when you do the, I found this in the 50-cent bin thing.
I did. I got a little, awesome. I got a bunch actually, but I mean, I'll just show a few because they're sitting right here. And these are keys, and I'll probably do a video of them. And like this one it was in the 50-cent bin.
Cool.
It was the West Coast Avengers number 46, but it's a key because it's the first appearance of the Great Lake Adventures. And I don't know if you ever heard of the Great Lake Adventures.
No, so first appearances are big, because I've watched your videos and you always say, like, this is the first appearance of the Hulk in this comic, or Spider-Man in this, or Venom. And so first appearances are big. So that's kind of neat you found that.
It's nice because this is like a $10 or $15 book, that it sells for, and it was sitting in the 15-cent bin, so I was happy about that. And then I got some other ones, and there's an app that I use called Key Comic Collector, and it basically just points out all the keys that are for a run. So I use it quite a bit. But I'm not familiar with this, but this has like a first appearance of a couple different characters. And this is the New Warriors, and this series is horrible. But it does have a few first appearances, so that's kind of cool. And then one other one, and you guys will know this one. Okay, you might not collect comics, but you'll know this. Okay, so we got G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe.
Okay, everyone knows G.I. Joe. So this is the first appearance of a really famous real life G.I. Joe member. Can you guess who that might be? Real life. Real person.
Norman Schwarzkopf.
No, come on. He was in wrestling.
Sergeant Slaughter.
Sergeant Cena. Not John Cena. But Sergeant Slaughter's first appearance was in this issue right here.
That is cool.
And
Did they make a figure of him as a G.I. Joe, I think? I know he had a wrestling figure, but now that you said that, the one with the Cobra, oh my God, Cobra, right? It was Cobra. No, it was Cobra.
Yeah.
Did Devin, right? They made a figure of Sergeant Slaughter as a G.I. Joe guy.
They did. He came with his own vehicle. It was a two-pack. He was like a single man tank, and he came with it. And then I think there was another one, and he was in this vehicle. I think it was called the Warthog, and I think that was the second one. And the fact that I know that is a little disturbing, to be honest with you. But
I think it's awesome because that's something I forgot. And now when you said that, Sergeant Slaughter, I was like, I think they actually had a little figure of him, not like his wrestling figure, but like a G.I. Joe Sergeant Slaughter. That is so cool. Great stuff.
So I'm trying to put together a nice run of G.I. Joe books. They're not it's something that everybody looks for when they go comic hunting. I think the run has about 150 books to it. And, there's a bunch of keys, and all the keys are like the first appearance of the G.I. Joe characters. They didn't cross over into like, you're not going to see like Captain America show up in a G.I. Joe book, even though it's published by Marvel. I think I'm almost close to putting them together. There's a famous issue of the G.I. Joe, which it's called the silent issue. It's all about Snake Eyes, and Snake Eyes never talked. And the whole issue, there's no words, there's no word bubbles at all. It's pure just pictures, and you have to kind of put it together yourself. Yeah, so it's really cool. So that's one I want to add. And then there's a lot of reprints of that series, so it's a kind of a harder one to put together if you're wanting to put together the original, because there's multiple reprints of the first few issues. But it's a great series, so I'm excited to get my
that's really cool
full series of that one.
That's awesome. The because we're talking G.I. Joe, do you guys remember? I'll use my term as the original G.I. Joes. They were larger action figures. And
with the kung fu grip,
yeah, I think they had, but it was G.I. Joe, and he had a partner, and they sort of had curly hair, if I remember correctly, which I never understood when you're in the army that you had, because they usually buzz you. But that was
it was the 60s and 70s. So.
Yeah, that part I know, because my friend would always take his sister's Ken doll, and he would just have G.I. Joe beat the living piss out of him, because everyone hated Ken. Ken was like the worst doll ever. Ken was an early form of, how can I put this without losing 4 million viewers?
Very carefully, Al.
Okay. Ken, let me just say.
Al, before you say it, just look straight into the camera and say, you guys know what I mean.
You guys know what I mean. You guys know what I mean. Because Ken was the first. I'm just telling you. Ken was the first. Ken was the first. That's all I'm saying. Everyone, Ken, when we did wrestling with the figures, we're like, we need like a Stevie King character who always loses. And we're like, Steve, your sister got a Ken doll? He's like, yeah. All right. He's going to lose. So. Anyway, great stuff. Awesome. I like when you do the 50-cent thing. That's one of my. Yeah. I love all your videos, but that's one of my favorite.
Well, I'm doing one tonight. I have a stack that I picked up, and I did really well. There's like 40 books, and usually I show about 40 books when I do.
Yeah, it goes quick, and it's fun though. I like one more question before we move on. So the one that you found for 50 cents, and you said it was like a $15 comic. Because you've mentioned this a few times. Some of these stores, they don't know what they have, do they?
It's getting to where, it's hard to know exactly what they all have. When I go to a store and the store has 1 million comics,
Yep.
How long does that take to know, you know, what every comic is? And so there's a lot of these books that just kind of get passed by. Obviously, the ones that people know off the top of their head, those aren't going to be in there.
Right.
But it's the other ones that you don't think about that are
the hidden gems, like you say. Now I get it. Now I get it. That's really interesting. So that's awesome. That has to be like when you know, you find something like that. That's great. And you're sitting there going, I'd like, so this is 50 cents, right? Yeah. Here, bye.
Yeah, I know. I had, here's the thing. I went into my shop, and so there's a list that comes out. And one of my friends, he is also a YouTuber. He does, it's Comic Tom 101.
Comic Tom 101?
Yes, and he's a great channel, and he's also located in the Pacific Northwest as well. And we're friends, and we've done some stuff together. He is partnered with CBSI, which is Comic Book Speculation and Investing. And every week on Friday, he puts out a list, which is a top 10 hot book list. And so I watch that all the time, just because I'm like, okay, I know what to look for, and I look on this list. And more often than not, every Friday when I look at that list, I can go into the shop and pull books that are sitting in the $1 or 50-cent bins. And I'll give you an example. So I go in, I watch the video, and it was like number 4 on the list, and it was Venom Space Hulk number 12. Okay. And I remember seeing this book in the store just by, you know, flipping through books, you know, and I remember the cover. And, you know, it made the list, and it was like going for like $20 and stuff and selling really fast for $20. So I go in the store, and sure enough, there's 4 of them sitting in the $1 box. And so I grab all 4 of them and stuff. And not because I'm going to sell them. I'm just a collector, and I like to have them. And I mainly end up just giving them away, to be honest with you. But I go up to the counter, and I go, hey, I want to buy these. And they looks at me. He's like, what's up with these?
Really?
Yeah, they're like, why are you buying all 4 of them? I'm like, because they're only $1, you know? And he's like, I'm like, I don't know if I should tell you. And he goes, I'll still sell it to you, but you got to tell me what they are. And I go, well, they're on the top 10 list this week. And I figured I might as well get them. He got them sitting there for $1. And he's like, he's a friend of mine, the shop owner and stuff. And he's like, oh yeah, you're taking these books. I go, dude, this is not information that you should not be aware of. You should know this stuff.
If you're a comic book store, exactly.
You should be telling me, not me telling you. So
I got an idea. Next time you go, right, you bring in a couple other people, and you buy them one at a time.
I did it today. And when I brought out that stack right there, he's like, I didn't check that list this week. Was any of these on there? I go, no, they're not on the list. I go, they're just ones I knew of to look for, and they were back there.
That's funny. That's awesome. That's
a lot of fun. But I end up giving them away a lot for the most part. Like my buddy Jeffrey, he was here last week, and he didn't pick one up. And I said, hey man, take it. It's cost me like less than $1 because I get a discount there anyway. So I mean. I like doing stuff like that. If I can get something for dirt cheap and give it away and stuff,
that's awesome.
I'll do it.
Great stuff. Thank you very much for sharing. I know you're gonna do. I didn't want you to get. I know you're doing a video, but I always like. We got a sneak peek. That is so cool.
A sneak peek. There you go. Trust me, I'm never gonna run out of content, man. I don't know if you can see. I'm gonna turn my camera. So there is a pile of books right there. That's 5 piles.
And a lightsaber.
And a lightsaber. Yeah. I haven't gone through any of those yet, and that's just maybe a third of what the stuff I have to go through in the next few days. So I'm never going to run out of books to show you there, Al. So don't worry about
it. How many? Because I know you do read some of them though.
I do, and I've started reading more and more recently because I'm doing reviews and stuff like that.
Right. So. Well, that's cool. That's excellent. Have you had any? I don't recall seeing a review video. Have you?
So on my live streams that I do on Friday nights now, I kind of review a couple of the books that I read.
Okay, cool.
The tricky thing is reviewing a comic book without giving away the whole book is a very hard thing to do because the comics are very short. It's a quick 10-minute read and you're done. So
that's a great point because Dawg Sidious, who talks about when he's talking about Game of Thrones or even with Star Wars, and he's trying in the beginning, when the movies first come out, he gives his opinion, but he's trying not to give too much away. That's like with a lot of the YouTubers who do Game of Thrones or any show. You know, and that's a great point. I didn't think of that. So
yeah, I've watched other people that do reviews on comics and stuff, and I was like, okay, this is something I want to try to do. And every time I watch a review, and I'm not trying to say anything bad, but it's not a review. It's actually the whole plot line of the book. I don't even need to read the book because you just told me everything that happened in the book, and it's a hard thing to do. So it's something I'm working on, and I try to stay very vague, but at least get the main points across without letting any of the spoilers go.
That's excellent, excellent. So that's something, and you're live on Friday nights almost every week. I mean, I believe.
Every Friday, 5:30 Pacific Standard Time, and I go live, and it's a lot of fun. So I enjoy it.
Great job, Comics with Bueller. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What's on Dawg Sidious's mind? He's been very quiet. He's been Dawg. What's going through your head there, my friend?
Well, my microphone's not really working tonight, so we're going to talk about something.
You know what? He made me laugh and smile. Just that smile. It did it for me.
I got none, fellas, man. Great stuff. Great listening to you. I never watched Doctor Who, but yeah, it's definitely. I love the stuff you're sharing there, Bueller. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
To contribute, fellas. I really don't.
Oh, you always do. Don't say that. You always do. You always do, my friend. You always do. The Mr. Pete channel says bye to everyone. Check him out. He's halfway to 1,000, I believe. So check him out. If you like it, sub to his channel. Shout out to the Mr. Pete channel. All right. So, what are we going to talk about now? My Red Sox are losing.
Oh, that's too bad.
That sucks. So, zombies. This is another subject Devin brought up in the pregame. Zombies. Why are zombies or the undead so popular? I've enjoyed them since I saw Night of the Living Dead way back when on PBS, because it's a public domain movie that PBS was able to show it. I just fell in love with that genre, zombies. And it was one of the subjects Devin's brought up. And he wants, I think it was, why are they so popular, or why do people?
Well, no, it's not that they're so popular. It's just, first off, they've saturated the market with zombies. I used to love zombies. I used to love vampires. Used to love the undead. I can't freaking stand them now.
Stop right there for a second. Yes, I have to ask you your opinion on Twilight.
Oh, absolutely hate it.
That is the worst. That is the worst crap. So they made a bunch of those movies, right? They made a bunch of those movies. So I'm like, and I was dating someone at the time who liked those movies. So I'm like, okay, let me try to watch one of these movies. I'm like, how do you watch this crap? I didn't say it.
Because they're targeted to 14-year-old females.
But here's my point. Why would you want to go out with a vampire? Have we not seen Fright Night? Have we not seen 30 Days of Darkness or whatever? You know, they're not nice. And everyone's like, it's a vampire. Mom, Dad, I'm bringing someone home. He's a night kind of person. He's fabulous. He's fabulous. And can we have steak? And we want it very rare. Very rare. Just very rare. I don't get it. I don't get why people are like, I love vampire. I mean, I the genre I get, but the whole, this vampire, he's hot. What are you, stupid? At some point, he's going to kill you. Do you not get that? I mean, it happens. He's going to get hungry. You're the only one around. He's going to bite you. And then, so, I mean, have we not seen, what was the one, that's a different movie, Bram Stoker's. Don't be careful typing that in. No, but the one that Anthony Hopkins was in.
Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah, that was a really good one. But I mean, I don't get the whole. You're right. They marketed it to a niche audience that love those movies. They're horrible. They are horrible. Who in the chat likes Twilight? Just don't be ashamed. We're not going to mock you much. Yes, but in the chat, if you like it, I'm just curious, who likes Twilight? We'll find out our demographics here, too. This is very important. Because if we got a lot of people liking Twilight, guess where I'm going with it? I'm going to be on next week with a Twilight shirt. Promise. We are selling out. We're all wearing, and we're all going to get 1 million hits on all of our channels. Anyway, I'm just curious. As Tribes fans has never seen it. You don't want to see it. It's god awful. I could see if it was like a parody and kind of funny, like Love at First Bite. That's kind of funny, right? I get that, but that's my speed when it comes to. So anyway, so oversaturation. Back to you, Devin.
Yeah, no. When it comes to fantasy genre undead for like Dungeons and Dragons, yeah, I was a huge fan of it when I was a storyteller. I mean, virtually every other story I did dealt with the undead in some shape or form. Yep. If I was the DM, you were going to be fighting skeletons, zombies, ghouls, vampires, the whole kit and caboodle.
Okay, let me interrupt just 1 second because I thought, when I fell in love with that, now I actually remember. Remember Jason and the Argonauts?
That is the first time I saw skeletons.
When you said the skeletons, I'm like Jason and the Argonauts. I had said Night of the Living Dead. I mean, that's more zombie, but I'm saying when they popped out, I went, holy crap. And Dawg must have had to go. He's left us, so hope everything's okay with Dawg.
But yeah, the old Harryhausen stop motion animation. Yes. Oh, that was the first time I thought that was the coolest thing I had ever seen in my life.
Me too. That's when you said the skeletons, I was like, Jason and the Argonauts, because that was just awesome. When the guy, the necromancer, I guess, right? He throws the bones,
throws the teeth into the ground.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden the skeletons. I was like, oh man, this is cool. And that type, I tell you what, that type of stop motion animation, to me that still holds up. King Kong, the original King Kong, 1933, I believe, is all stop animation. I don't think I'm saying it right. You know what I mean? The stop action animation,
stop motion animation,
like the claymation kind of things. I don't know if they use clay, but you move, you take a picture, and it's very tough to do, right? But that was because we had mentioned I think it was Comics with Bueller brought it up on Dawg Sidious' channel. I think it was last week about the CGI. Well, sometimes when there's so much CGI, you're sitting there going, yeah, it's too much.
Yeah.
And to me, maybe because I'm older, but the stop action animation, I find that fabulous. It holds up. I mean, the skeletons from Jason and the Argonauts, absolutely brilliant.
One of the ones that I always remembered and just blew me away was Sinbad, and I think it was Eye of the Tiger when he's fighting a huge saber-tooth. That was one of the most just brilliantly done scenes I have ever seen in my life.
That's another one. I remember that because that had a little run in the late 70s, early 80s. They did a couple of different Sinbad movies.
There was like 4 or 5 Sinbad movies.
Yeah. That's funny. These are things I've forgotten that have popped back in my head. This is why I like doing these chats. It's not all about saying pee-pee. Or Bram Stoker's, So,
Missy the Mischief.
Yeah. Highly recommended movies, all of them. But yeah, that is awesome. Now, Bueller, did you ever see? Have you seen Jason and the old one, Jason and the Argonauts?
Yeah, I saw that one, and obviously that brings to mind as the Clash of the Titans.
Another one. I like the original Clash of the Titans.
Yep,
I like that.
They use that a lot in there, but Jason Argonauts. I don't know how.
Yeah.
But I mean, you were talking about zombies and the popularity of zombies and stuff, and it kind of gave me a little bit of time to think about that. I don't know if the popularity of zombies is the thing. I think the popularity is the people always wonder, oh, what would I do in that situation?
That is a great point.
What is if something like that happened? And I think that's the intrigue that something like that has for people, and not just the zombies, but
how you deal with other people,
how you deal with like a tragedy or something like in your. Are we going to be able to survive? And I think we've all kind of sat down there and thought about that. What would I do if I was like the last man on earth or something like that, or what if there was a zombie apocalypse or like a nuclear war? How would I survive type thing? And I think that's what intrigues people for so long. And that's why it's still popular to this day.
It's the post-apocalyptic. It's the post-apocalyptic setting. Back in the 70s and 80s, it was nuclear war. I remember that. I sat for hours. I consumed post-apoc books by the bucket load. So I get it. It's definitely the post-apoc. What would I do?
Yep. And like the day after tomorrow. Remember that movie that came out?
I remember that. That was in the early 80s.
Yeah, it scared the heck out of me.
That was a made-for-TV. Was that a made-for-TV? Yeah, I didn't like that one. That was that did scare me. That's something because you could sit there and go, this could happen. Yeah. That was about a nuclear strike, if I remember correctly.
Yep, that's correct. And the thing about that one, when that came out, they actually like warned people before that movie came out, like in schools, like, hey, do not let your kids watch this movie, or if you do, make sure you're with them. So it was a big deal, and Steve Guttenberg's best performance by far.
I forgot he was in that.
Yeah, everybody did.
You know what's interesting? The History Channel, which does a lot of good stuff, they did a thing like on a pandemic, where they actually have like professionals talk about it. Like people who write about it, people who know scientists or whatever, people in government, how they would deal with it. And then they had like acting, but with no one just regular people, obviously actors. And you follow this family during this epidemic, which is basically a really bad version of the flu that kills a shitload of people.
Yeah.
And it's funny because they bring this up. I read this book. I can't remember the author. God, I wish I did now. It's Ebola K, and there's 3 books. And the first one's free on Kindle. I think it's still free. I highly recommend it. The second one's pretty good. I think the third one's going to be even better. I have to get to it. I bought it a while back. But the whole thing was the guy. Terrorists had weaponized Ebola K because it became airborne. What they did was basically infect people and send them back to different countries without them really knowing it. They kind of knew it, but actually they didn't. But the whole point, the guy goes, what do they do in these countries in the West? When you get sick, what do? Yeah. They don't quarantine you. They send you. So it was really, I'm reading this going, this is really interesting. It's frightening, but it was interesting when you follow the characters. But so the History Channel did something similar to that, but not it was just a regular, like the bird flu or something, and it just spread. And the whole thing is, what happens? We don't quarantine anybody. Again, probably it might be too late, but that's always very scary. I mean, a little different from the nuclear thing, but it goes back to what would you do in that situation? One of my faux pas with The Walking Dead, and this is not going to be a Walking Dead conversation, and I haven't even watched the first episode yet because I've stuck with it, but now I'm starting to go, whatever. But I will watch it. And as soon as Negan comes back in, I'll definitely watch. One of my favorite characters. The one thing with The Walking Dead we never got. What did the government try to do? They kind of gave you a little bit with the Fear of Walking Dead. But seriously, there's no way every world government would freaking collapse. Someone, even in our country, someone's going to sit there and go, this is the situation. We have to deal with this. The Pentagon actually, and it's for a ha-ha, they don't think zombies are coming, but what they did was you can actually print it up online. I've done it. I've read through it. If I could find it, I'll just have to reprint it. I mean, it's pretty bland, but it's basically if an epidemic, what do we do? And they go through, they literally tell you the process, not like top secret stuff, but this is what phase 1, phase 2. And it's really interesting. So I read, interesting to the point, it's sort of bland reading, but it's interesting.
Contingency plans.
Yes.
The U.S. government has contingency
for everything. It's incredible.
Contingency plans on how to invade Canada.
Yes, and we might have to. No, I'm just kidding. But
it's those maple syrup stocks that they got up there.
Exactly. We want the maple syrup.
To the 11% of my viewers that are Canadian, Al didn't mean that.
No, it's a joke. I'm sorry. I love Canada. My cousin lives in Canada. But I was always interested when I found that, because I thought that was a joke. I actually saw something on the history. I go, oh my God, that's real. I went and I found it like a day later, just a while ago, and I read through something. I go, this is really interesting. But you're talking about what would happen. Another one, was it The Postman with Kevin Costner? Like there was an apocalypse, And the guy who like takes over this huge crew, he goes, I remember at the end, he goes, you were just an accountant for God's sakes. You know, the guy was like the big bad guy. That was kind of how
copy repairman. It was a copy repairman.
Was that what he was? I remember he goes, I remember you when you were this. But yeah, it's interesting that when you go through that scenario of what would you do, that is, I think that's a great point you guys bring up. What would you do? We talk about it at work. We have a good joke about it. Then my famous thing is who's going to be in the, not that I have a bunker yet, it's almost done, but who's going to be in the bunker with me? And I have that question. It goes back to Escape from the Planet of the Apes. And if you don't answer that question right, you ain't getting in the bunker, people. But yeah, good points. Back to you guys. That was really fun. That was, again, that's a very interesting point. So continue on, Devin. I'm sorry, it just popped in my head about that contingency. And I wish I had it. I have it somewhere.
Oh, you can do a Google search for it. Yeah, it's out.
It's interesting. Bland reading, but just to see that they really, and again, they don't give away anything top secret. They're just saying this is what the process would be. And my point, I guess, was on the History Channel, they did the same thing. And the big mistake that's always made, most societies don't want to quarantine people, right? And even when the Ebola thing, when people came back, I don't want to be quarantined. Well, shit, you should be quarantined. I don't want you to be treated poorly, but let's make sure you can't spread this. You know, let's just be safe about everybody else, right?
You just have to look. It was, what was it, 4 or 5 years ago? Was it West Nile virus? There was a really bad epidemic, and the
mosquito one. That was the West Nile
down in Florida, and they wanted to quarantine people, but people were putting up such a huge shit fit about it. It's like, listen, this is public health and safety we're talking about here, and you're worried about offending their rights. What about all the people that could possibly catch this shit?
And that's funny.
That's how Western governments operate. And just to go off on a little side.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
The book World War Z, not the freaking movie. Ignore
the book's excellent. The book is excellent.
Yeah, the book. You know what China did? They nuked.
Oh, North Korea. North Korea.
No, it was China. China nuked Shanghai. The infection.
Oh yeah, in that part. Yeah.
I thought nuked Shanghai. They said, "Screw it, we're cutting it here."
Yep. It didn't work, but yeah.
Yeah,
but what makes that book very interesting is they give you these points of view, like where the one from Germany, that was where the military forces are trying to help the people, and then they get the call, pull out, and the guy says, "No, this must be wrong. We have to wait for they goes pull out and blow up the bridge." He goes. And the guy says it because, again, they're telling, if you've not seen read World War Z, highly recommend it. I'm actually was thinking about doing my own readings on this channel, just for not the whole thing, but the couple of favorite chapters of mine. Excellent. And I have the audio. I can't play the audio for certain reasons. You can find the audio book on YouTube. But quickly, with World War Z, the one with the German, I want to say it was a colonel or a captain. And he was left in charge because the people above him all died. And he goes, I called 3 times to make sure the order was correct. And they said, yeah. And he goes, well, I'm not going to follow it. And he goes, if you do not follow it, I will order Lieutenant so-and-so to shoot you and execute you. And he will do it. And he will follow the order. You will retreat over that bridge and you will blow it up. And you will tell no one because you're falling back to they had a rendezvous point. That's not the right, but a meeting. I guess it is rendezvous point where they're all going to regroup and come up with a strategy, because the original strategy was just fight them everywhere, and not enough manpower, not enough anything. But World War Z, highly recommended. Great book. That's another, and that gave you the aspect of what leadership was trying to do in that situation. I forgot about the Shanghai thing. I thought you were going to go with the North Koreans when they pulled everyone's teeth out, which was sitting there going, I could see them doing that. And the movie does not do justice. They took some aspects of the book. I like the movie, don't get me wrong, but the problem was, Devin and Bueller, I read the book. So if I didn't read the book, and again, they only take a little bit of it, I think they could have done a movie with a bunch of short stories because they all intertwined. So, yeah, great points. Great points.
I did not read the book, but
I think you'd like it.
I am intrigued to read it now just from listening to what you guys
know who
talk
wrote
about
the
it.
book?
Mel
Brooks' son. Mel Brooks' son wrote the book. I thought when I saw his name, and then it says it's Mel Brooks. I was like, wow, that is Mel Brooks' son. But how many pages? 300 pages about, if it's that?
Oh, less than that. Yeah.
Great read. Great read. The audiobook has a ton of great actors in it. Yeah. In fact, Mark Hamill is one of the actors in it. It's just a great.
I even think Alan Alda is one of those.
Oh, Alan Alda's in it. Meathead's in it. A bunch of people. Very good. And that's again the aspect of going back to not doing what's necessary. I'm not saying being mean to people. I'm saying you have to be smart. And that's the thing with just to go back to that book I'm reading, that series, that 3-book series, Ebola K. What the terrorists in the book said, they're not going to quarantine anyone. This is the way it works. We understand their thinking, and we're going to use it against them. And it was very interesting because it worked to a point. I mean, the government figured it out quickly, right? But it was too late. And it's a really interesting book. I highly recommend the first one, Ebola K. You can get that free on Kindle because the author offered up the first book free. You have to buy the next two, which I did. And I enjoyed the second one, and we'll start reading the third one at some point. So back to Devin and Bueller. And again, highly recommend World War Z.
Yeah, it seems like the saturation level has gotten so much with zombies that a guy that I served with in Japan, and I love the guy like a brother, truly. One of my best friends in my life, loved the man like a brother. Not the brightest bulb in the box. He has written a series of zombie books, and they're available on Amazon.
That's awesome.
But it's just the saturation out there. My issue is not with the fantasy zombies. Like I said, that's magic. Magic ain't got to explain shit. It's magic.
It's the biology of it.
It's the biology of it in modern day. And let me get to what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
If zombieism is something like rabies or some type of disease or something like that, what is the one thing we never see zombies do? Drink water. Yep. If it is something like rabies, the human body is going to shut down after 3 days.
Yep.
You're not going to have a zombie infection lasting years. The zombies, once they get infected, the body is going to stop operating after 2 or 3 days. Okay, some people say, well, what if it's a parasite in the brain? It still doesn't matter. Thing. The muscle mass,
will stop. Brain be able to walk.
Needs water to even just send the electrical signals. The muscles will atrophy and die without water. That is and I have to have a huge suspension of disbelief if I want to do anything with modern day zombies, because in reality, biology just doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
You cannot create something from nothing to keep these bodies going.
That's a great point, because the other thing, you know how they say you got to, in most of these genres, the zombies, you have to wipe out the brain, right? We have all kinds of nerve gas, I'm pretty sure, that can wipe out the brain. And they never, like the government, if I was the government, I go, where's that stuff that we were testing? Kills everything, right? Shit, now's a good time to use it, Sparky. Drop that shit on him.
So that has always just been the one thing that's gotten into my craw about modern day zombies. I think an article just came out recently. The Walking Dead, the 5 or 6 season takes place over 2.5 years. And I'm thinking to myself, there wouldn't be any zombies after the 3rd day. Maybe a week, people getting infected and, that long for the infestation to spread.
Well,
but
because no matter, even if you can't, I hate to tell you this, if you're just like a skeleton and stuff, you ain't moving. It's not Jason the Organizer.
That's why I don't have a problem with fantasy, because it's magic. And magic is, well, it's beyond that, breaks the laws of physics. So,
magic zombies. What about that? I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine.
He's fine with magic.
Magic zombies.
Magic zombies are fine. It's just the modern day, and it's like the game Left 4 Dead. That was the assumption that it's not really zombieism; it's just rabies. Well, all right, they're still technically alive, and the body.
Okay, I like
water. Well, it was a fun game. Don't get me wrong. It was a fun game, but I had to suspend my disbelief. It's like it goes against the laws of biology.
Yeah. No, we've thought about that too, because, again, we have all these types of conversations at work when we probably should be working. Because because we're saying at some point, even if they're undead, right? We get that, but you still need to move. We said the same thing, like your muscles would break down and certain things would break down. I don't care if the brain's still working, unless they become, you can't move. So, but you got to, again, you suspend that. I think it's a lot to do with, it's fun to think about, like Bueller and yourself were saying, what would you do in this situation? Everyone, we all have a plan. You know what happened in this situation? First, we crap ourselves.
Yeah.
Most likely. Second, we try to do something. And third, we probably all die.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just is not, and it wouldn't even be, again, with a lot of these shows, and on one of my favorite shows, they killed off my favorite actor on the show, and God damn it, Houston just hit a homer. And sorry.
Side note.
Light note, yeah. Side note. I like Z Nation. It's popcorn fun. I love it. Yeah. Stories go quick. I love it. I guess, and I'm about a season behind. I said I got to catch up, and now I found out. I'm not going to say who. One of my favorite characters is gone. I'm like, really, really? I'll catch up. But people, with that one, I have to honestly say that one, you can, again, it's popcorn fun. Yeah. Their storylines. I'm going to bash Walking Dead a little bit. I've stuck with it for quite a long time. I'll tell you right now, the Z Nation storyline's a lot more fun. Yeah. They're quick. It's not like, now let's spend a season and a half on nothing.
Yeah, I think Maggie was pregnant for 3 seasons. That's pretty good.
Maggie's been pregnant. My God, I don't know. I mean, Glenn, I think
he died 2 seasons ago.
From under the dumpster, for God's sakes. When he had that free time, he's just laying there. Maggie walked by and, what are you doing, Glenn? Hey, you want to get a little busy?
So I got a quick story about Z Nation.
Oh, awesome. I love Z Nation. Go.
So I was covering a Comic-Con here in Portland, the Wizard World, earlier this year. And they had 2 of the actors there for Z Nation.
Was Doc there?
No, but it was like the main half zombie guy. Okay?
Oh, I like him. He's pretty cool.
And then the other main lady character that's in it, she was in it. So both of those people were in there. And they're sitting at their booth and they're doing autographs, and like nobody's going over there to do autographs. Like they're just sitting there on their cell phones.
Oh, that stinks. I love Z Nation.
And so me and my niece, who was helping me do some stuff, I go, do you know who they are? And she's like, no. And so we walk up there and I introduce myself because I was covering the event for Wizard World. And and she's like, and she's watched The Walking Dead, and as we're talking to the 2 actors, and my niece goes, so what is Z Nation? I go, well, it's a zombie show like The Walking Dead. If you want to watch a show that gets you all depressed, you watch Walking Dead. If you want to watch a show that makes you feel good and smile, you watch Z Nation. And both the actors looked at me like, thank you so much.
That is, you know what, Bueller? You hit that out of the ballpark. Yeah. I was telling people they were cool, right?
They were very cool.
Awesome.
I felt bad because like they didn't have anybody in the lines. I think I don't know why. Maybe it's just not that. Maybe people didn't know they were there. They were kind of in the corner as well. So I don't know what the deal was, but yeah, it was nice to talk to them a little bit.
But that's awesome because I've said the same thing where, I mean, they have the mayhem in Z Nation. They actually have very similar storylines. They do them well. It's sci-fi. They don't have the biggest budgets. And the best thing about when it first came out, you want to talk about not knowing who's going to die. I mean, you're like, okay, that's a main character and dead. Yep. Next episode, well, this got to be a main character, dead. And then they fell into who the fans liked, and those people stayed on for a while. Unfortunately, my favorite character, I'm not going to tell you, I believe is no longer human, and that stinks because I actually had correspondence with him on Twitter, and really him. I mean, because all of a sudden I'm like, whoa. And I actually said, is this really you? And he's like, yes, it is. So it was pretty cool. But yeah, Z Nation, and they don't linger with their storylines. They're quick. They made it fun. Yeah. You know, when you remember the whole thing with the Liberty Bell, have you seen that episode? It's rolling. They're in Philadelphia. The Liberty Bell. By accident, they hit the Liberty Bell. It goes rolling down, kills a bunch. I said, what other show would you see the Liberty Bell go rolling down the street, wiping out like 50 zombies. That's freaking awesome.
That was their Sharknado montage. That's the Sharknado clip right there almost.
Yes. Yeah, that's good stuff. Thank you for sharing. Back to Devin. I'm sorry, I went off on a Z Nation.
No, that was all I had. I mean, and I just checked my subscribers. I've lost another dozen subscribers.
You know what? After the show, Devin, you and I will commiserate. Is that a word? Commiserate, whatever. Some commiserate, tomato, Hassan Pfeffer Incorporated. We'll talk about all the the subscribers we have lost because we're like, when people get sick, quarantine them.
I have gained 4 subscribers. That's
absolutely.
They're probably my subscribers.
But yeah, that's what I want to see. I'll tell you the other zombie one that did it. Actually, it wasn't zombie. The Crazies, the original. Did George Romero do that one? I'm not sure if he. I think he might have. But the original Crazies, again, the act. It's a B movie technically. The storyline's excellent. The acting, C-, but the storyline's excellent. And they gave you like the government's point of view, like what they're trying to do. And that, if you've never seen the Crazies, they remade it with Tom Oliphant, I think.
Timothy Oliphant, yeah.
Yeah. But the remake was pretty good too. And the thing with that is a military plane crashes with like nerve gas and it gets in the water supply and the people end up drinking it. And if you're like goofy, you become more goofy. If you have violent tendencies, you become extremely violent. And the government figures out like, oh crap, we got to do something about this. They try to quarantine the town, and it comes down to, in the original, they dropped a freaking nuclear bomb on them. And the original, it was that whole scene. You never see who the president is. You just see the back of the head. The guy in the chair. And they're saying, do we have your permission? We want you to keep the line open, the secure line, because if we have to do this, we have to do it quick. And then they're explaining, well, we can blend. There was a nuclear power plant, and they're going to say it was a nuclear accident, and that was kind of interesting. So
yeah, that was Romero wrote and directed that one too.
He did. Okay, I liked. I tell you what, for the budgets he had in his earlier stuff, even Dawn of the Dead. Again, excellent. Again, even in Dawn of the Dead, they show you originally what the government or the people in charge are trying to do. You don't get that with The Walking Dead at all. It's just everything collapsed. Mm-hmm. Everything collapsed. Now, some of that has to do with Rick was in a coma, so when he wakes up, everything's pooped the bed. And here's another thing. If you were in a coma that long, would you poop the bed? I always thought about that. Like, would he be messy?
I never thought about that. You're the only one.
I'm different in many ways, but anyway, I still like the zombie genre. I think you guys hit it. For me, what would you do in that situation? Like I look around the house, I'm like, I need some glass Coke bottles for Molotov cocktails. These plastic shit. You ever try to throw a Molotov? Well, don't do it. But I mean, if you have a plastic one, it's not going to work, people. It's not going to work. The zombie's going to look at it and then come eat you. So, but yeah, it's kind of.
As an interesting side note to what would you do in a zombie apocalypse, my nephew, when he was about 12 or 13, used to have this discussion on a regular basis. What's the first rule if there's a zombie apocalypse? Get to Grandma and Grandpa's house, because Grandpa's got a generator, he's got food, he's got weapons, he's got reloading equipment, he's got tools.
Grandpa's ready.
Oh yeah, well yeah, Grandpa's ready. But awesome. That used to be a serious conversation.
No,
my teenage nephew and I used to have.
The other thing that the government has promoted, that's the other thing the government for real has promoted when it comes to, unfortunately, we've had a natural disaster with the hurricanes and another one, God bless and give strength to those people and their families. It's awful. But another thing that they use is prepare for, when you have these weather situations, the thing was, hey, prepare for like a zombie apocalypse, meaning just be prepared to have the necessary things to try to possibly, if you have to. I know when we had a freak winter storm in October, and in New England in October, the leaves have not come down yet. So what happened was the trees came down on the power lines. And again, not comparing anything to anything, but to be without power for 6 days sucks. you know, and at least we had a wood burning stove, and there's always stuff in the house and that. I didn't go out and start killing people. I had my list, but I didn't do it.
My list.
Because I figured civilization was going to come back. On a real note, it is depressing when nighttime comes. I don't care how many candles you light and your little lights. If you don't have a generator, which we didn't, we're lucky to have heat. And we're lucky that it was October, and after the storm passed, we were all right. And then the other apocalyptic thing I saw in real life, a tornado hit where I lived on the outskirts. I was at work. The tornado, we're in work. We're watching the tornado. Like, again, it's a rare occurrence where I live, right? Build up on the river. You can watch the funnel, right? You can watch the funnel. And we're like watching it online. The news had a camera like on a building, and it just happened to be right there. And we're like, and now they're calling it play by play. It's coming down this street. It's like almost a zombie apocalypse. Like, here come the zombies, right? And now they said a certain street. And I turn to everyone. I go, hey, man, that's like 8 blocks down from here, right? And so everyone goes to the window, and they're looking. And I'm like, there's no basement. There's no basement, right? There is no basement. We literally went in the conference room because I like everyone get away from the windows. And we went in the conference room, and we're telling these morbid jokes about Wizard of Oz. Because when they say it sounds like a train, I shit you not, it sounds like a train. It's a horrible thing. It went left. If it went right, Al Red Sox fan would not be here. None of the people I worked with would be here. It would have been a direct hit. So now we come out, and we're like, everything's going to be gone. One of the most bizarre things of nature is a tornado. It went left.
Mm-hmm.
All of our cars were still there. You could see the trees down the street gone, bent, things. But right where we were was okay. I'm going to tell this quick story. I got in my car. I tried to get a hold of my dad. My mom couldn't get a hold of him. I had told him to get in the cellar, right? So now I drive home like nothing happened. Nothing. But yet, if you went to the left, which would be to the east, my layman's terms, to the east, it was horrible. My friend called me from his cell phone. He goes, Al, it's like a bomb went off.
Mm-hmm.
I just walked through a war zone. He couldn't get his car through. He was trying to get to his parents' house to make sure they were okay. So it was a disaster, and it made national news, and it hit downtown and everything. It never happened. On that Sunday, I went to my friend John's house to help clear. Have you ever seen Band of Brothers? You know when the artillery barrage would come in when they were doing the Battle of the Bulge, and it snapped off the tops of the trees?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it looked like.
Yep.
And we cleared for hours and hours and hours. Everyone was dead tired. Just people try to help clear his yard because the city was going to come and do their best to move the debris, but you had to get it out to them. Okay. And again, I was lucky. That didn't affect me. The storm later in the year, again, we had a whammy of everything, right? That affected me. And we actually had a mini earthquake. That was more funny because it didn't bother anybody. The earthquake was, we're sitting there. I'm at work. I'm sitting in my chair, and I'm like, shit. Did I just really fart? I mean, am I farting? And that's my first thought. And I'm like, everything's like shaking. You know, it's like shaking. And I went, I think we're having an earthquake. And we had an earthquake. And God.
Another one?
Oh, my God. We Red Sox.
Every time he looks over, I'm like, oh, man. He's
not good news. Not good news. There's
Admittedly, Al did admit before the show started that he was probably going to be cursing at the TV at some point tonight.
As idjester's reveling in the chat, he goes, another home run. Another home run. But anyway, yeah, that's it. So 6 days without electricity. Again, not comparing anything to anything. That stinks. So I hope and I feel like that's like just a minuscule what the poor people have gone through with hurricanes. Yeah, absolutely awful. So
Devin, you're in the Pacific Northwest. You're in Oregon too, right?
Yes, I'm up in Seattle. Yeah.
Oh, up in Seattle. So I don't know. You might have heard there was a little tornado here a few years back in Oregon. It's because it's such a rare occurrence. You know, it's like there was one in Washington. Okay, not too long or a few years ago in Vancouver, which I don't know if you heard about that one. And then a few years later, there was one in a little town called Almsville, which is outside of Salem in Oregon. And you might have heard about that one. Okay. So
can you give us a little history? I'm not familiar with it. If you don't mind,
yeah.
a little history.
Yep, and that's what I was going to get to. So,
good. Thank you.
So the one in Almsville, and this is so bizarre. So first there was the one in Vancouver, Washington. Yeah. Okay, and where it hit, I lived about a mile away where it hit, and I was at work at the time, but my kids were in school and they were on lockdown and all this stuff. Yeah. Nothing really got damaged. It wasn't a big one. I mean, it damaged some buildings and some property, but nobody got hurt. But it was the first one we've ever experienced because it's not a very common occurrence in the Pacific Northwest by any means. I mean, years and years and years goes by before we have a tornado. And obviously, we don't ever get a hurricane or nothing like that. And then the second one, which happened a few years later, was in this little town called Almsville, which at the time I was living in. So it's like the thing was following me around. The funny thing is, when there was this one did some damage. So the one in Almsville did some damage. It blew right through this little town and took out some buildings and stuff. Nobody got hurt, which is great.
Well, that's good. So that's awesome.
I'm at work, and I'm just getting off work, and I'm about ready to leave, and my supervisor says, "Hey, can you stay for about 1.5 hours?" And I'm like, and I go, "I think so." And I go and I look outside, and it's raining. And then I can my work is about 8 miles away from my house in Almsville at the time. And I look towards the direction of my house, and what I see is the darkest cloud I've ever seen in my life. And I just thought to myself, I said, man, it's really dark over there. I wonder what's going on. So I told my supervisor, sure, I can stay, not a problem. I go back and work. I'm doing my thing. And all of a sudden my phone rings about 15 minutes later, and it's my mom. And she's like, are you okay? I go, what do you mean? She goes, I know you got off work at like 2 o'clock, and there's a tornado just went through Almsville. And I'm like, I'm fine. It won't work. But literally, if I would have left, I would have been driving right through downtown when that thing ripped through the town.
Comics,
so,
you have an angel looking out for you, my friend. That's good. I'm glad. That is so bizarre. You talked about the cloud.
Yes, I've never seen a cloud like that before.
Because that day of the tornado, the sky was like I never seen it before. I never want to see it again like that because I saw the damage afterwards. Again, I got lucky. Went left. I'm not lying when I said I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. Okay, I think 2 people passed away. One's too many. 2 people passed away in that tornado. And the damage it did was unbelievable. Okay? We were in a conference room, but we kept saying, man, everyone kept going to the windows that day. You ever see a sky like this? I can't even describe it. It was dark, but it was like a red, black. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. It reminded me of, what the hell is that movie? Tom Cruise. War of the Worlds. War of the Worlds. I think it was War of the Worlds, where they had the weird clouds come in. It wasn't Independent. Well, it could have been the other one. But it was just weird. You're sitting there going, that's not, I've never seen, and everyone kept going, do you ever see this? Do you ever see this? And no one, and we're like, no. And they kept saying tornado warnings. So we kept kind of giggling. Yeah, they always give us tornado. It never happens, right? You know, we get the, what do they call them? Bursts every once. And those are bad too. I'm not making, because if you're in that stupid little burst thing, that's a mini tornado. I don't know why they don't say it's a tornado. It's a mini tornado. They call it a wind, some kind of burst. And that is awful. And, but it's funny you mentioned that because that's the first impact. I can visualize it, and I never want to see that again. That was like, to me, we're joking about the apocalypse. That's like the sign of the apocalypse. I'm sitting there going, ah, man, I never seen that. That, you know, red sky in morning or whatever that phrase goes. It was like, multiply that by 1,000,000. It was awful. And now what came after stunk. The other thing you're saying about, I was, after the storm, that bizarre winter storm, we went out to go, I work for a hardware chain, but I work in the corporate office. We went, microburst, thank you, Fanomatic. They sent us out to the stores that were still open because we're a hardware chain and they were doing buku business because people need chainsaws, this and that. So we went out to work in the stores. Once you got situated at home, you know, I got my parents situated, and then I think 2 days later I went to work. So we're there. And so now finally we get back to headquarters, you know, that we can do work at the headquarters. I mean, we're all staying a little late to catch up and stuff. And I stayed a little later, and I remember going, someone whizzed through a red light, and I went, you mother blanker, right? Because, you know, you hit the brakes, right? Because I had the green, right? You know what? Thank God the person whizzed through that red light, because as I'm driving, right, I'm looking, for some reason, something caught my eye. Like I saw something, a branch move, right? I went, did that branch just move? And I watched this huge branch go, bang! I was like, well, I won't be going that way. And I turned, I said, thank you, God, my guard, whoever who had that car go whipping through, because I'm thinking the timing, maybe that stopped me from being smushed. Because that's the street I go down. It's just a weird thing, Devin and Bueller. I just, like, something caught my eye. I wasn't going, I was still pissed off, swearing at the guy who had already passed, right? And I looked, I was like, did that just move? Because it went like this, and it went boom, just like that. Like it just slightly moved, and then it went down. I went home, I was telling, God rest my mom's soul, I said, you'll never guess what happened. And I just tell my mom and dad, I said, this guy cut me off, but I'm glad he cut me off because a tree. I was going down Davidson Street, into which I ended up going like it forks. So I went right as I usually go straight. I go, and the lucky thing, it didn't hit nothing. And there was a parked car just a little farther away. You know what I mean? And it sort of touched like when it landed, it might have scratched, you know, like the branches sort of touched. But man, if anyone was coming the other way, you're squished. You ain't getting out of that. Yeah. It's weird when crap happens like that. So. But
yeah. I was in the Philippines in Subic Bay when Mount Pinatubo blew. We were about 25. Yeah, we were about 25 miles away from.
What year was that? I'm trying to remember.
1992. It was after the war. So yeah, I think it was
the first Gulf War.
First Gulf War, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it erupted while we were pulling in at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and we could see, the ash rising, and we pulled in by noon. It was black as midnight, and by 10 o'clock that night we had 3 feet of ash everywhere. It got so bad, the ash had piled up so much on the ship,
like snow,
starting to list over, and we actually had crews up there with the fire hoses trying to spray as much as the ash off as we could. Yeah, we were involved with cleanup operations and evacuation procedures there for several weeks afterwards. I actually rather enjoyed myself during it, but I thought it was a grand adventure. But hey, I was 23, so what the hell did I know? I'd just been through the war. It's like, oh right, well, the war didn't kill me. Freaking volcano's not going to kill me.
That would be an irony. That would be awful. Yeah. You mentioned in Italy, I think it's Vesuvius.
Vesuvius destroyed Pompeii.
Yeah. There's another one too, but I'll ask my dad after. When he was in Italy as a kid, my mom tells the same, well, again, when she was alive, she tells the same story. My relatives, they all tell the same story. Volcano goes off. They live small town. Closest big city was Naples, but they're not near Naples. I'm just to try to give you the demographics of it to the south, right? Naples is south of Rome, and they lived in a small town a little south of Naples. And it was, my dad says, it went as black as night. Mm-hmm. And again, you said like it was like noontime, whatever. He goes, it was day and it went night. And he goes, it was like snow. It was snow because it just erupted. Yeah, I mind-boggling what people will go through.
We
Mount St. Helen.
Mount St. Helens. Yeah. We had that here in the Pacific Northwest. I was a kid when that happened, but I think we were probably. We're quite a ways away, but you can see Mount St. Helens from a distance. It's on the horizon. You can see it type thing. It takes a while to get there when you're traveling.
To be able to see it.
Yeah, but because you can see it now, but it's a little different looking than what you normally think a mountain would be. But I can remember when that went off, and I remember going to be in my grandma's and just sitting there like, what's going on? And I was just a little kid. Yeah. But my grandma, right? she was aware of, because it wasn't like, there have been reports, that stuff was happening on the mountain. I don't know if they anticipated it going off, but there was something going on. So it wasn't like
they had evacuated.
Yeah.
Yeah, they knew something was coming.
But there was ash hundreds and hundreds of miles away. The gutters of our house was filled with ash, and there's ash on this, like a half a foot of ash everywhere.
Like snow. That's the way my dad described it, my mom and my uncles and aunts and stuff, like snow.
That stuff was around for years. I mean, it was literally just there for years. And people tried to clean it up, and it was still there. And you know, they would collect this ash, and they'd make it into clay and make like little statues of the mountain that comes apart, you know, or something like that. But I've visited, you know, Mount St. Helens. You know, they have a great observatory up there and stuff that you go in and watch all the information, and you just kind of see it and everything. But I remember that, and that was quite the thing to think that something like that, you know, just here in the States, you know, just up in the Pacific Northwest, and there it is. And then we have Mount Hood. It's our big one in Oregon. And a few years back, that was rumbling. They always say that that's going to blow someday as well. I mean, they say a lot of things, but you know, that would be interesting because I can actually look out my window in this morning, and Mount Hood, I got a straight shot of it. It's a huge mountain, beautiful. It's
the things we actually live through. When you think back at certain things, you're like, whoa, you know. That's crazy that, you know, again, you don't think of volcanoes in the United States. I mean, obviously there's when I was a kid, Mount St. Helens, I remember watching it on the news, but I was going to ask you about that because I know you're in that area, you and Devin. The thing we also, I don't know if you guys remember, not to go off on possible disasters, but 3 Mile Island, which that was really frightening as a kid. I
remember that.
We were on the East Coast and they're telling you what would happen. Like, and you talk about when you're talking with your nephew about like the zombie apocalypse, and we're going here. As kids, we're all trying to figure out the radius, right? Trying to figure out, like, we live in this in the city where I live in Massachusetts at the time of Springfield, and you know, he's trying to figure out the rate, like how far from, you know, because 3 Mile Island was upstate New York, I think. No, it was I can't remember exactly, but I remember.
It was Washington D.C.
No, 3 Mile. There was one on the East Coast. 3 Mile. I gotta look that up now because that's gonna drive me nuts. There was one on the East Coast. 3 Mile.
We had a nuclear plant that kind of went bad here in the Pacific Northwest years ago.
You just look this up real quick. But anyway, I'll look it up. We'll look it up after you. There was something on the East Coast because we were trying to figure out what would happen.
Pennsylvania,
that's what it was. I knew it wasn't. New York didn't sound right, but. And that, you know, they're telling like the thing's gonna melt and this and that. And again, God bless the people who did whatever they had to do to stop that. Because you watch the news, and I remember sitting there going, man, because they're talking about stuff getting contaminated, and now the food supply and all this stuff that, you know, looking back now when you watch these, like I was saying, the History Channel thing on the pandemic, you're sitting there going, you know, it could happen. So you just got to kind of be prepared for a little bit of everything the best you can be. I mean, none of us are what's that guy? We're not like those survivalists in the wood, you know, like when they have that show and stuff. But
my best friend, he's kind of a hoarder type thing. Okay,
that's where we're going. We're making it Bueller's best friend's house. And
he's got, for one, he's got like tons of food and stuff like that, but he's also got like weapons and stuff like that. He's just all these things. And his house is it's all locked up. He's got like, you know, double pane window and just everything to where like he could lock it down. Okay. And I've always said, if something ever happens,
that's where you should go, my friend.
I'm going to your house and I'm kicking you out because you're high maintenance and I don't want to deal with you for a long period of time.
Quickly to change the subject. I know Bueller, you got to leave soon. And it'll just be me and Devin for a little bit, I guess. There's John Goodman was in this movie where, oh God, something Lane. I liked it because it starts off like a suspense movie. You don't know if the guy's telling the truth. Spoiler alert, he was telling the truth. The problem is he's a nutbag. So you're stuck with a nutbag telling you the truth.
Cloverfield Lane.
Okay, yeah.
I actually like it.
It was kind of the sequel to the Cloverfield monster movie.
Yep, I saw it. Okay.
I like the movie. Yeah, you're right. It's kind of like a sequel just because they take the name. But the thing about that was the guy was prepared, and the intriguing thing about that movie was he telling the truth? You know, and he was. He just was a nutbag on top of it. So but that's So. Yeah, if anything happens,
the moral of that story is if you're a nutbag, you still tell the truth.
Yes. Well, the moral of that story, just to tell a little more about it, and you're right, Devin. if Mr. Nutbag catches you doing something and he's the only one with weapons, you lie and say, I'm making this mask for you so you can be safe. As opposed to, I'm telling the truth, we were trying to escape. And he's like, I'm glad you told me the truth. Boom! I'm like, oh. I remember watching at the movies going, how stupid can you be? I get it, it's a movie, but just say, I'm making this for you, so in case you have to go outside because you're the guy who saves the world, you'll be safe. And instead, the idiot goes, no, no. And you want to talk about a whoa moment. When he goes, boom, and they play that so well. I don't know if well, I know Devin's fired firearms. I don't know if Bueller you have. Unless you fired a weapon, you don't know how loud that thing is. And if you're in close range and you're not prepared, like I've shot handguns and rifles with my friends, they have the proper permits. And I'm not going to watch that anymore.
Don't stop looking over there.
It's going to disappoint.
You never come back with a smile on your face.
No, I don't. But, you know, it's really loud. And the first time I went shooting with my friends on this guy's property, they go, you want to use earplugs? I'm like, no, I don't like earplugs. You know, I'm about 5 minutes in. I'm like, yeah, give me the earplugs. I couldn't even hear them anymore. I'm like, give me the earplugs. Because you can't hear. So when they did that scene, they did it so well. And you're in a movie theater, and you know how the sound is now. You're like, boom, yeah. It's like, holy crap. And you kind of thought that was coming, but you thought maybe the kid could talk his way out of it. And that was just unbelievable. Bear with me one moment.
No problem. And then you mentioned something about firearms there. I'm not a big shooter. I've only been shooting twice in my whole life. Once when I was a very small kid,
yeah,
and then another time, actually probably last year, because my the same friend I was referring to, yeah, he's got an arsenal. I'll just put it that way. He's very stable though. He's not, no worries. He's very responsible.
That's fine.
So that's good.
I'm a Second Amendment guy.
But he's got a very large collection of firearms. And like I said, when I was a kid, I fired a handgun, and my stepdad took me out and showed me how to do it. Yeah. It was never my thing, and never really caught on to it. But my son, who's now 21, this is about a year, maybe 2 years ago, he was like, I've never fired a weapon. Okay. And I was like, well, I'm not really, I don't have a weapon. I've never had one, and it's not like I said, not my thing, but I wanted him to at least do it and experience it. And I was like, my buddy Damon, he'll go, he knows how to do it. He's very responsible. I feel pretty good about it. So he took my son to a range or whatnot and showed him how to do it properly, and which was great. And that was the second time I ever fired a weapon right there. So that's really my only forte into weapons. And I stick to this gun right here for the most part, and that's the one.
Hulk smash.
Hulk smash, that's right. So
one quick last funny story. My friends are hunters too, and they eat what they shoot. Okay, they're not like that type of hunting, right?
Trophy hunters.
Yeah. I'm not saying, and even when they did that, they ate what they shot. They just kept the other part, right?
Yeah.
So hey, you want to go hunting? I'm like, well, I like shooting with you guys. Yeah, I'll go hunting. I've never gone hunting, right? My uncles had hunted. My grandfather hunted. So we're going to go hunting. So I go, well, how many rounds of shotgun ammo? About 100. Well, lo and behold, to me, I didn't realize they were joking. I brought 100 rounds of ammo, right? And so I have it loaded like in everything. And they're like, look at me, go, what the hell did you do? If you fall, you'll kill yourself. Get that crap out. But so we go hunting, pheasant hunting, right? And the rule, skirmish line, shoot in front, common sense, don't do this, don't. So we get there, and I'm thinking, okay, we're going to shoot something, or at least discharge the weapon. That's all we, at least, we're going to make a boom sound. And we go there, and you just keep going. And like 3 hours later, we haven't shot shit, right? And I'm sitting there going, oh, my God, I hate this. We got up early in the morning to do this. This is fun. At least when you go target shooting, you're shooting, right? So, man, I felt bad for those birds when they came by, because like everyone and their mother just was like unloading whatever they had. We didn't even care if you hit it. We're just like just shoot in the air, And again, it's in a hunting part. It's not going to bother anyone, but that was. Then they go, "You want to go deer hunting?" I'm like, one, I don't want to shoot a deer. I felt bad when we shot the bird, right? We ate it though, right? And it's kind of funny when you're going, "How does it taste?" Well, besides the pellets from the shotgun, not bad. That was the other classic. Try to hit it in the head. Are you kidding me? I'm lucky I hit the thing, and it's a shotgun with bird shot. It does that. Anyway, try to hit it in the head.
Pheasant is too greasy for me. I don't.
Yeah, it is. It is a with the term gamey meat, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
His mom made it with like a tomato sauce, like a pasta sauce. So it had some of that. It is I've had duck too, not that we shot it, like at a restaurant. That's a little greasy, though I like duck better. What's the, not going to say the wild, I guess what's the wildest thing? I'd have to say pheasant and deer. I mean, that's normal type of gaming food. You were in the Navy and some interesting places in the world. I'm sure you'll be like, I've had a person's finger.
No.
What? I've had a person's
fish eyeball.
I'll go straight to you ate a human body part. Okay.
That's why we love Al. No, honestly, the weirdest things I've had, balut. When I was in the Philippines, I've had monkey meat.
What was that?
Balut. Okay.
Oh boy, here it comes.
Basically,
monkey brain.
No. Oh. That's Indiana Jones. No, balut is egg with the embryo mostly formed in it.
That's gross.
That's gross. I've had kimchi as well. Don't like the kimchi. Kimchi is basically rotted cabbage. Monkey meat. I've had a lot of monkey meat. Monkey meat is actually pretty damn good. Shark, way too salty. Don't like shark. I've had a few odd things.
We're gonna throw that out to the chat. What is the, I guess we'll use the terminology, wild or exotic thing you've eaten? As the Red Sox lost.
I'm sorry, Al.
That's okay. There's always game 2 and David Price tomorrow.
I'm sending you a hug, Al.
Not looking good for the Boston Red Sox. That's okay. We beat the Yankees. I can live with that. But yeah, Bueller, any like deer or?
I just had Taco Bell earlier today, so
that's exotic. You never know what's coming. Taco Bell's an adventure every time you eat it. At least for me.
Yeah, that's why the napkins they give you are brown. They know what they're going to be used for later. But as far as exotic foods, not really too much. I'm trying to think. I've had shark before, and I thought that was okay. A lot of different types of fish I've had. Probably pretty much just about everything that's served as far as fish wise go. I've had, but nothing too. There's no what's that? Duck fetuses or whatever you ate or whatever it is. Nothing like that,
I'd like the ostrich fetus, please.
Ostrich fetus or whatever it was, nothing like that. So I'm pretty good. But I like trying new things. It's like if it's there and if it's on the menu or whatnot, or if I've never tried it, I'll try it. I mean, you can just
Bubba Husky.
I'll try it. So
Bubba Husky in the chat says, petrified Papa John's.
There you go.
You ever do that? Everyone's done this, and we'll end the stream pretty soon. Like you're not sure if it's good to eat. You do the whole.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, you can't. At middle of the night, a couple of years back, I went to get a glass of milk. I had a craving for milk. I got up, right? And I did the whole pour the thing. You want to talk about something just spitting out of your mouth in megaseconds. You can't even try to, with bad milk, because I remember I did that as a kid too. Man, there's no way. What was that show where they drank sour milk, the aliens, they was like they got them drunk. James Caan was actually in the movie.
I want to say V.
No, it's like Alien Nation.
Alien Nation.
That's it. Yeah, V was the other one where they were lizard people with Rowdy Piper, I think.
No, that was They Live.
Ah, you're right. That was They Live. I'm sorry.
V was a TV show.
All right, let's throw another TV show I get wrong, and Bueller can correct me. But yeah, that was wow. I was like, that was gross. So, and again, the same thing happens at work when we get stuck. Hey, this is horrible. You know, I already went through that whole. Everyone does that. Taste it. I don't want to taste it. It's bad. You just told me it's bad, and everyone's like, yeah, you gotta taste it. Everyone's tasting it. All the kids are tasting it. You know, so.
Yeah, we found my son, me and him the other night, we're looking like on a cupboard, and there was like this box of crackers that was back in the corner and stuff.
Oh,
and I'm like,
that is man! I've done the same thing.
And I'm like, oh, what's this? And then we're looking for the expiration date, and we can't find it.
Taste it.
I tasted it. It was fine. And then like later, we found the expiration date that expired like 4 years ago.
Yeah, crackers are.
My son's like, how is it? I go, well, everything's green now. I only see the color green. So and my lips are kind of numb too. So not that great.
That's like when the hot school lunches when I was a kid. Disgusting. Absolutely. I don't know what the hell crap they put in that, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't food. I know it passed the FDA. That's why I've always been leery about the FDA for the crap I had to eat in school. Because I'm sitting there going, you sure this is whatever you're telling me it is? I always had what I used to call the lottery hot dog, right? The one thing I could always get the hot dog that had that chunk of disgusting whatever, and I'm like, oh God. The one thing I used to like were the fake mashed potatoes that I like. You just pour a lot of gravy on it. But you'd sit there and you go, I don't think that's a hamburger. I don't remember like these holes in a hamburger. I've eaten hamburgers before. Yeah. I just don't remember like stretchiness in a hamburger. I don't remember it. Lots of gross. The fish sticks were not too. I don't know if they're really fish in the fish sticks, but you put enough crap on them like ketchup, you could eat it. And I always used to laugh because Radar O'Reilly MASH. Remember he put ketchup on everything. You're in school. You're like, again, when we were kids, you watch MASH. You're like, time to do the Radar O'Reilly. You just like ketchup all over everything. I don't know if you're supposed to put ketchup on ice cream, but it made it taste better. I wasn't even sure if it was ice cream. It was disgusting. And how the hell did the FDA pass that crap I ate? I don't know. It was gross. And who came up with butter beans or whatever? What are those things? The yellow. What were they called? Honey. What were they called? The yellow bean. I like beans, not those. And how come the Jell-O, right? So they give you all this slop. They give you all this slop that's disgusting. Now you want to get to the Jell-O and it's like this big. I'm like, why don't you make the Jell-O like half of the size of the crap you just put in my plate? And then you'd go back, right? They wouldn't give you dessert. You'd go back and they'd go, did you eat all your food? And they'd look at it. Here's more food on your plate. I'm like, did you eat the food? And they'd give you that look like, don't make fun of the heavy set lunch lady because they control your food. And all I wanted was the goddamn Jell-O. And I didn't get any Jell-O. So. And they would literally look at your food like they wanted you to eat because it was like their job to make sure you ate. I'm like, and I've said it, I'm not lying when I said, did you eat it? Where's your lunch? You know, because you could bring your own lunch in too. And I started, I would do that. But then people look at you like, you're not eating the crappy food. You brought your own lunch. Well, yeah, my food tastes better. And they're like, you're weird. I'm like, no, I'm eating. I'm not weird. You're an idiot for eating that crap they just put in your plate. But yeah, then you get to high school. They had the grinder line. Again, not the best cold cuts, but at least it was tasty. And forget about that. I'll be like, then they introduced Hostess cupcakes. I'm like, yeah, I'll take 14 of those, a couple of milks. I'm good to go for the rest of the next periods coming up. Now, Hostess cupcakes, bad for you. The world was a better place when everyone ate Hostess cupcakes and Twinkies, people. Go back to it. As we've lost Devin. We're losing everybody. It's my breath, I tell you. I don't know.
We lost Devin.
So, anyhow, people, I know Devin has to leave soon. Dawg Sidious left us. I hope everything's okay. Chris from Strat-O-Matic Delaware wasn't feeling good. But joining us tonight was Comics with Bueller and OG. We had a fun time. We talked about a lot of different things.
Yeah, we did.
We always have a fun time. I'm glad everyone who stuck it out. 5 people still left. We had a decent crowd. 5 people still left. It was a lima beans. Yeah, those are gross too. I didn't like those. Wax beans. That's what they were called. Wax beans.
Never
Did
had
not like those. But I think we're gonna call this stream, OG.
Works for me.
Works for me. This has been a good stream.
Thank you again. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Bubba Husky, Warren, Chandler, thank you. MP Fox, Living My Rhapsody, Fanomatic, idjester, Moni G, so many people. Just scrolling up. Tribes Fan. If I miss you, I apologize. Mr. Pete, check out his channel. Check out all the channels, all the content creators who are in the chat. Bobby, thank you. And so on and so forth. Ron Juckett was in here. I saw him. And again, we had a lot of people. So thank you to everyone who joined us in the chat. And I'll go to Bueller, and then we'll go with Devin, and I'll have my final word. So the floor is yours, Comics with Bueller. Thank you very much for stopping by once again. It was a pleasant surprise. I didn't think you were going to be with us.
Well, I'm glad I had some free time to get on here. I wasn't going to stay for the whole thing, but look at that. I'm here for the whole show, and it was awesome. I had a good time. Time flew by. So awesome. What more could you ask for? But thank you so much. For everyone who's watching right now, if you haven't checked out Comics with Bueller, feel free to go check it out. If you like what you see, go ahead and subscribe. If you don't like what you see, go watch something else.
Yeah, but, and I'll find out where you live.
Yeah, but I had fun, Al. Thank you so much, and I really appreciate it. And I will throw it to the guy either on this side or that side, depending on your screen. It might be different.
All right. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms.
I love when he says that.
In the comment section. Appreciate everybody coming by, everybody who listened to us, everybody who watched us. It still amazes me that we actually have people who want to sit and listen to us. Basically the shit.
It's fun stuff. I want to say that's it. I want to say thank you to OG and Comics with Bueller. Hope Dawg Sidious is okay. Hope Chris from Strat-O-Matic Delaware gets better. And he had a little sinus thing going. If you haven't checked out their channels, please do, and especially check out Comics with Bueller and OG, great guys, Dawg Sidious, Strat-O-Matic Delaware, and all the rest of the friends of the channel. Thank you very much. Red Sox lost. If you didn't know, that's me getting pissed at the TV. But thank you from the bottom of my heart. Health and happiness. Till next time, take care. Bye-bye. God bless. You know what's coming, folks. Peace!